Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is going to be how to crochet a solid granny square, but before we dive in, I wanted to talk a little bit about granny squares really quickly, what you can make with them, why they're important to learn for beginners, and obviously the difference between a solid granny square and a regular granny square. So I have a couple projects here to show you all the different ideas and stuff you can make with granny squares. I just posted this video here on how to make a lemon. So this is turning a circle into a square. And the stitches on the outside here are a type of solid granny square. So you take a circle, you make it into a square. Same idea with this guy here. I have this tutorial on my channel as well. It's a teddy bear circle made into a square, a solid granny square. The difference is you have your corner gaps, but you have stitches in every stitch instead of creating gaps. Like if I show you this here, this is a really cute granny square bag that I made. I have my cute little boutique tag, proud of that. But here is a regular granny square. You could tell because you have your little clusters. There's gaps in between the sides. And so it's just a little different because where there's a stitch in every stitch, in here there's clusters every few. So that's the biggest difference between a solid versus a regular granny square. There's also granny triangles. But this is one idea you can make with granny squares, whether that's regular or solid. You can also make a cute like sunglass pouch. This is kind of a unique design for a granny square. So it's kind of a play on a circle in the middle, solid on the outside, but regular on the inside. So again, just playing around with different measurements there, different stitches. And then another idea is a pair of earrings. So just again, this is like one round of a granny square. So a really fun, unique idea there to do with granny squares. And then just for some encouragement, because you're probably here because you're a beginner, like all crocheters, I started off new at one point as well. And this is actually the very first granny square I have ever made. So you can kind of see there's an issue going on here. There's no defined center. It did start here, and then somewhere along the way, I don't know what I did here, but I definitely messed up some stitches. But I like to keep this as a reminder that we all start from somewhere. So just to encourage you, if you're new, please just stick with it, have a little bit of patience, and you'll be able to make all sorts of granny squares moving forward. So in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you very quickly and easily, using simple white yarn, how to crochet a solid granny square. I'm going to show you two methods here to start off. The first one is generally recommended for most projects, which is a magic ring or magic circle. I did just post a tutorial on how to do this. It's very simple. It's under 5 minutes. It's basically an unfinished slip knot. So if you think of your slip knot, and everybody does it different, it's basically just getting a knot on your hook to start your project. But basically a magic ring is just like that, but it's unfinished. So this is what I do, I create necks, and I don't pull, I just use that lack of tension to start my project, you know. So for an example, we'll do some double crochets. So, you know, and then you have this ring that you work from. So the reason this is generally recommended as a method is because when you do your granny squares, you're not left with a gap in the middle. So this is a nice crisp close for the centers. Same with this one here. Instead of having a big circle in the middle, it just makes it look a little more complete. So if you really just want to be done with questioning the magic circle, if you're one of those people, just really spend some time to nail that first. That's like first and foremost with most crochet projects, but especially the granny square. It's generally recommended to do a magic ring. If you don't want to do that and you're one of those people that just chains a couple slip stitches into the first chain just to create a ring, you can do that too for the sake of learning how to make a square. So for this, I'm going to start with a magic ring. And again, I teach how to start off like this X, you know, so real quick, I'll hold the tail end here, take my 2 fingers, wrap it around and make an X, and I'm holding this in place. I take my hook, this is a 4.5mm hook, whatever your yarn recommends that you're using. I'm going to go up through this first and pull the middle of this X, and I'm going to secure this in place with this finger and gently pull away my fingers. That's kind of the hardest part, again, because there's no tension. And I think when you're a beginner, you really want things tight, and they get too tight, and then you can't really move with your piece. So that's the hardest part about that. But once you have a ring formed, then you can start doing your stitches. So from here, we have our little ring. We're gonna get to the height of a double crochet, which is chaining 3. There's 2 and 3. And we're kind of going to make this, you know, as we pull this tail end, it will close. So as we make a couple more stitches, we'll kind of keep an eye on that and pull it closed as we go along. So to start a solid granny square is actually the same as starting a regular granny square. So the middle is typically the same, where you have 4, because it's a square, so you need 4 sides, 4 corners, right? So we're going to make 4 clusters of 3 double crochets. So I'm going to put 2 more double crochets next to that chain 3. And if you don't know, a double crochet is we yarn over, insert your hook in the center, yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So now with that chain 3, we have 3 double crochets in the center. To create the next cluster, we need to chain a space to get over to it. So what I'm going to do is chain 3. Some projects will have you chain 1 or 2. It just depends on the pattern. And then we're going to create another cluster of 3 double crochets. So we're going to work 3 double crochets right back into that center. And keeping an eye on this, you can pull it closed if it's a little too big for you. I like to make it just big enough where it's kind of the size of the opening of my index finger. So I need 1 more to complete this cluster. And now you can see we have 2, so we're kind of turning. We have 1 cluster here, a corner, 1 cluster here, we need 2 more. So we're basically going to repeat that. We're going to chain 3 to create that corner. Place 3 double crochets in that center. Again, this is the same as starting off any, typically any granny square, depending on the specifics of the pattern. There's 3 clusters. We're going to chain our last 3. 3 more double crochets. And when we get to the end here, this is what it's looking like. We're going to chain 3 because we need to finish this round. So we're going to, as if we're going to go do another cluster, but it's already done. So we're going to slip stitch to the beginning. So we're going to find the top or the third chain that we originally did to start off, and we're going to slip stitch that closed. And this is why it's good to do a magic ring. If we didn't, it would look just like that. You might get confused and think it's a gap, but with the ring, we can just pull it closed, and now there is no gap in the center. You just have your 4 corners. To start the second round, and what makes this a solid granny square, is we're going to start with a double crochet. So we're going to get to the height of one. So we're going to chain 3. For a normal granny square, we would assume that this is coming out of this corner, and then we would maybe chain an extra to create a space so we could jump right into the next corner, like that. But instead of doing that, we're actually going to go right into the stitches themselves before we get into the corner. So we just chain 3 to get to the height of a double crochet, and this is coming out right underneath it in this stitch. So the next stitch we have is the one right in the middle. So we're going to do 1 double crochet in the second stitch of the previous round, and then we're going to put 1 more into the next one. So we have 3 double crochets sitting on top of 3 double crochets. When we enter the corner, we're going to place 2 double crochets, we're going to chain 3 to create a corner gap, and we're kind of turning now, we're going this way. In that same corner, we're going to put 3 double crochets, or I'm sorry, 2 double crochets. And there we just created our first corner of the second. So we're basically working around. Even though it's a square, you're working around, then you're building up to start the next row, you're building around. So, same idea, for solid granny square, you're putting double crochets into the stitches. You're not chaining from here to jump right into the next corner. That's the biggest difference. So, we're going to go right into this next stitch and place a double crochet, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and then create another corner. So 2 double crochets, chain 2, or I'm sorry, chain, let's see, what did we do? Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. I don't remember what I did this time. Let's call it 3. I think it was 3. And we'll do 2. And 2 more in the gap. So, just to show you what it's looking like here. So we started over here, built up to the height. We put double crochets in those stitches. We created a corner. Then we moved along this side, created a corner. And we're basically repeating that process all the way around. So we just came out of this corner. We're going to put 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches, a corner, repeat next 3 stitches, corner, and I'll show you how to finish off the round. Okay, so I'm near the end here. I just finished my last corner, so 2 double crochets with the chain 2 or 3 gap, and another 2 double crochets, and then we have this one that we started with, and we're going to slip stitch right into that to finish off this round. So I'm going to find the top of that 3rd chain and slip stitch, and now you can see a solid granny square starting to form. So instead of having those gaps in between the stitches themselves, we just have the gaps in the corner, so it kind of creates that cool effect. If you wanted to keep building off of this, you absolutely can for as many rows as you want. You just have to look at where in the previous that you're coming from. So in this case, we're kind of a few stitches in, so when we start and do our chain 3 to get to the height of a double crochet, we're just going to say, okay, it looks like it's coming out of this stitch, so we're going to work right into the next one. So a double crochet right into the next one. And repeat that along the side. We have a few to do before our next corner, and as you do more rows, you'll have more stitches to add. So same thing with our next corner. It's the same idea. 2 double crochets with our chain 2 or 3 space, whatever you're doing, as long as you're consistent. Turning our piece, going right back into that same corner, and then continuing alongside here to put 1 double crochet in each stitch across. So you can do that as many rounds as you like, and you have just done a solid granny square. So that is it for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, place them in the comments below. I'll be sure to respond to them as best as I can. I hope this tutorial was easy to follow and helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with other crocheters. Follow me on Instagram at the.mark, and I also just got my TikTok back, so you can find me over there at the.mark as well. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks. Bye.